Update. My husband wants me to be a mother to his affair child. Original post. I, 29 female, and my husband, 44 male, have been together for 5 years and married for 2. I met him at a church I started going to when I moved cities to start my career. I work for an insurance company and he's a pastor. I know that we have a notable age gap, but he was always kind to me and made me feel special. Anyhow, a week ago he came home and told me we needed to talk. He told me through tears that he had been having an affair with one of our community members, 34 female, and that she had been pregnant with twins. She had gone into labor, but she and one of the twins died and the other is in the NICU. He said we needed to step up and that he wants me to turn my office into a nursery and set up a cot in the room so we can take turns. I became distressed and told him I wanted some time to think, that I was not sure I wanted to do this. He told me that I had made a vow to him in marriage and that God had blessed us with a child. That this is our cross to bear and that God will never give us something we cannot handle. I told him that it seemed God had given her more than she could handle because she had died. I know I should not have, but I was not thinking correctly. And he slapped me and told me that I needed to serve my husband, that God had chosen me as this child's mother and I needed to be his humble servant. I just feel so strange. Yesterday, I cried so hard I threw up. This woman died, yet I feel bad for myself. I feel so ugly. I wanted children and was saving for IVF because I'm infertile. But now that I have a chance to have a child, I do not want it. I feel like I'd be robbing its mother's grave. I pray to God, but if I'm being honest, it has never felt like anyone was ever listening. I feel like I have truly seen my husband. He looks his age and very tired. I want to abandon him and a child. I'm only 29. I can start over. I have a remote job. I can take a day off when he goes to the NICU, pack my essentials and leave. Neither him nor the child deserve this, and although this is my circus, that is not my monkey. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. The only thing that is not a huge red flag in all of this is you realizing that is not your monkey. He chose to be unfaithful, and from that he expects you to ultimately raise another woman's child? No way. If this is all true, there is only one thing you should do. Run. OP's husband also preaches about the vows she made, but what about him? I'm sure there's something about infidelity in there. Such a freaking hypocrite. If the affair partner hadn't died, did he even plan to tell OP about a second family? To top it all off, he physically abuses her. OP, run from this POS. You know what you need to do and what you want to do. Take a deep breath and run. He's manipulating you with your religion. Don't let him do this. Do not let him take this way. I'm gonna guess that this pastor who beats his wife skipped over the vows about monogamy and faithfulness. I hope she lets the rest of his congregation know what he did before she leaves. Otherwise, he'll probably spread horrendous lies about her deserting him. It sounds like he's kind of preying on his congregation, to be honest. He has already slept with at least 2 of the women, both at least 10 years younger than him, and OP's still fairly new. I wonder how often he does stuff like this to vulnerable women, because I highly doubt this was the only second time. Girl, you better love yourself to leave. That's the hard part. I always have felt like I was never on anyone's radar and just being their back burner. It made me feel special and loved, but this last week I feel like I've seen past that. Although I was old enough to decide to be an age gap relationship, I feel like he had no business with being someone my age. I'm 29 now, and I would feel wrong being with someone 24. I spent my whole life accepting second best, and now that the one person who put me first has now put me last, I feel like I just see it all now. I feel used. Queen, you are 29 years old, with your whole life ahead of you. Not a person in this thread is wondering how he got this desperate man. They're all wondering how he got a catch like you. Forget being on someone else's radar. You are steering your own ship and have your own radar. You don't need to be on a back burner. You are your own fire. You have a career. You had the strength to move once and build a life. You can do anything. Just make sure it's the right thing for you, not someone else disguising their own sins or yours. Now for the first update. I just want to thank you all for the support. I'm still processing this all, and I just need a little time. I don't feel unsafe, just in love, just not enough. My husband did apologize for slapping me and continues to express regret. But he can't take it back, just as he cannot take back impregnating another woman, which ultimately killed her. I'm just feeling so disillusioned with my whole life right now. I know I should leave. I know that there is a world out there that will not treat me like this, but I'm scared of change. I'm working on a plan to leave and getting my ducks in a row for when I'm ready to go, but I am not sure when I would leave if I choose to. Many expressed that I should make a report to the police about him slapping me, and they're probably right, but that would likely cause me more problems than it would be worth. If I leave, it might make him want to contest the divorce more, and if I stay, it would cause more tension. I've been working on my left hook though, because I won't let him get away with it again. I'm not violent myself, but I'm down for a tussle, because although I'm hurt, I'm angry. I'm not sure if there will be an update because I'm still unsure. I can make all the plans in the world, but the changes scares me almost as much as bending to his will. I've been praying about it, but I see no clear answers nor guidance. I don't know. Funny thing, I'm jealous of the people saying that this is fake. It's like I want my life to be like it was 2 weeks ago. I could read a crazy story on the internet and think, wow, that's crazy. Seems kind of fake. And keep scrolling and go about my life. Only I can't scroll away in real life, because that's just not how life works. I don't owe anyone proof of my life tragedies, least of all strangers on the internet whom I will never meet. But I do thank all who have given support. I wish I could tell you I packed my bags and left his sorry butt, but I'm not strong enough yet. It's not that easy to do in real life as it turns out. 1. You will recover and be happier, healthier, and better for it. I was married to my abuser for 7 years. I started over after leaving him at 29. In a year since, I've started a new career, married my best friend, taken up new hobbies, traveled, lived in new places. It's been amazing. The journey of freedom and fulfillment and happiness where you're not trapped in an unhealthy and happy marriage with a horrible human being is the best gift you can give yourself, and the whole world opens up to you. 2. He doesn't value you. He values the image and stability you create for him. He's trying to gaslight you into staying so he can save face and create the illusion that you accepted his actions. He is trying to use you to care for the product of his affair and to excuse his actions with the church. 3. He has already physically harmed you by assault and endangered you for the entire length of any affair he has ever had. You need to get tested now, and again in about 6 months. 4. Physical abuse only ever escalates. I was married to an abuser, and every time he hurt me, I blamed myself, excused his behavior, accepted his pathetic, whiny BS apologies, and allowed the cycle to continue. He will not change. This will not be his only affair, and it will not be the only time he hits you. If you agree to stay, he's going to leave you at home with a baby and go find new affair partners and abuse you when you question him, confront him, or threaten to leave, at which point he will also use the baby as leverage. Please do not give him the opportunity to do these things. 5. Move out. Take the stuff that matters to you and go start over. Family or friend you've been meaning to visit? That's a great destination to start with. 6. He's a bad person. Full stop. He is an abuser. Do not allow him to cajole or convince otherwise. He is physically and sexually and emotionally abusive. He is a cheater and had no intentions to stop. He had every intention of keeping both of you for as long as possible. Think about that. He didn't come clean when she got pregnant. She got far enough along for viable babies, and he's trying to get you to raise them. He never intended to give up either of you. That behavior will not change. He is a manipulator. This man was a pastor that got into a relationship with a member of the church while married himself, and then hit his wife when she wouldn't comply with his demands. There was no redeeming quality about him. He just had the ability to hide who he really is. He is a narcissist. I recommend heading over to r/narcissistic abuse and r/narc abuse and divorce for additional support and a place to talk with others that will understand. 7. Good luck from one woman who has escaped a guy like this to another. You will be okay. You will heal. You have a better, bigger, happy, healthy life waiting for you. Please take care of yourself. I'm praying for you. Don't take his nonsense. And when he tells you God told me, because he will, don't fall for it. You deserve to be happy. If he hit you once, he can do it again. Also, that church. The fact that some people knew and he is now asking them to help you create a nursery, to sacrifice your office, your space, to make way for this baby, watch out for those people. They are enablers. Do not share your plans with anyone that you do not trust 100%. Do not let him gaslight you into believing that you can now have the life you've always wanted. Please think about finding a good therapist, not through that church, an actual licensed one, to see things clearly. There might even be resources around you that you are not aware of. You have every right to be angry. Pressing charges would hold him accountable for his actions. It might also give you the necessary push and help to get out of there ASAP. Yes, it will create more tension, but this is not your fault. Do not think of it in terms of how he could act. This isn't about his wants or needs. This is about yours. And right now, you need to get the heck out of there. Please understand that change is good. Change in itself is an act of faith. It's about letting go of your control to see what could be out there. Bending to his will, as he so eloquently said, is simply giving up everything that makes you you. And you are worth more than this BS. I'm praying for you. I'm rooting for you. The longer you stay, the more he will wear you down. He has lied and manipulated you. He has physically harmed you. That is not going to change. Change is definitely scary, but being abused is scarier. You need to leave that house. Now for the final update 8 months later. I left. If that's all you wanted to know, there it is. For those of you who are asking how the other woman died, I get it. I invited you into my business. It was an amniotic fluid embolism. I don't know much about those, but I guess when they happen, things go wrong really fast. We lived in a more rural area, so they just weren't ready for something like that to happen. I didn't leave right away, as I know now that I should have. It just wasn't that easy. I stayed for 2 months. I knew if I did not at least try to make it work, I would not be able to live with it. Not because I wanted to save my marriage, but because what ifs keep me up at night enough as is. I went to marriage counseling with my husband, but it was ultimately fruitless. Of course, it was Christian counseling. I felt like their goal was for me to forgive him, rather than actually trying to help me. I was so utterly alone during that time. My parents and brother are also very religious, so even though they weren't happy with my husband, they kept urging me to do what a good Christian wife would do. I spent so much time suffering in my own head that I began to realize that I was just going through the motions, doing what I thought people expected of me. I entered a state of derealization for a time, and that was absolutely confusing. The feeling of nothing being real, not even myself, was horrible. During this period, my husband brought his baby home, and while he tried to split the cares 50-50 at first, he ultimately didn't trust me to look after the baby because I was lost in space. So he ended up being the primary provider. When I was with the baby, all I could think about was how its existence ruined my life. It would look at me with big blue eyes, and I would just wish it would disappear. I would actively spend time resenting a baby. There was a time when I was thinking to myself and wished it would stop breathing. That was when I knew that I needed to leave. I was blaming a baby and wishing ill upon it, and that was not okay to do. I don't remember much about this time besides that. It's mostly a blur otherwise. I sought services through my work to talk to a therapist, and I eventually came back to Earth. She helped me make a plan. At no point did I fear my husband. I truly believed his slap was a one-off event. However, screw him. He doesn't deserve closure. So on a night he had a long Bible study, and he always took his baby with him because he didn't trust me, I packed my essentials and dipped. I met him pretty quickly after college, so I did not have much to take as far as furnishings. I fit everything I wanted in 3 suitcases and 4 moving boxes. It all fit into my SUV after some mediocre Tetris skills. I was able to change my phone number online before I left, but I did leave the divorce papers under his pillow with my lawyer's contact info. Kind of like the tooth fairy, but for a-holes. I was the breadwinner, and in my state, we were not married long enough for me to pay spousal maintenance. At least that is what my lawyer said. I own my vehicle outright. We had our own bank accounts and a shared expenses account. We filed taxes separately, and the church owns the house. He's being an a-hole about it all, but I'm hoping it should be done soon. I got a decent apartment in a city a few hundred miles away. I've never lived in a city this big before. Everything is so expensive, but besides that, I like it. I found a new therapist, met some new friends, and found a new church with loving people. I still have my days, but for the most part, I'm content. I think it will always hurt on some level, but I'm working on taking my power back. I turn 30 next month, and I am hopeful it will be the start of my best decade yet. Good. You deserve better. Good luck. God, I'm so sorry, but happy that you're in a safe place. You did well for yourself and your mental health. None of this is your fault. It's all his. Happy you're healthy. I hope you stay happy. Nobody needs to raise a child of their partner's affair. You did the right thing for you. I knew a lady who did it, but it's very rare. Way back in the 80s, a lady I worked with, her daughter was a teenager. She was in a miserable marriage. She was raised super fundy and married at like 18 or 19, and just couldn't contemplate divorce. It terrified her. She worked for her husband's company, desperately wanted another baby because her daughter would be going off to college soon, and she'd be stuck alone with this a-hole she hated. She was really depressed that she couldn't get pregnant again. Well, wouldn't you know it? Look, honey, the Lord blessed us. Someone her husband knew had a relative who got pregnant in high school and didn't want to keep it. I want to say the lady's name was Lynette, something country like that. We worked at a Walden Books in the early 80s. Lynette and her teen daughter fell in love with that baby boy, and Lynette ended up kicking the hubs to the curb and keeping the baby. A sweet story. But screw OP's husband. And OP, is not your fault you resented that baby. Good on you for recognizing it and leaving. You deserve a good life. You said you think it'll always hurt on some level. It won't. It just won't. I don't know how to explain how you go from loving someone to loving them, not liking them, but loving them anyway, to just apathy. Just nothing. It's like the world reabsorbs that love. It just evaporates. And it is gone and no longer the burden that loving a narcissist truly is. Look, I just read all your story and it's horrible. I'm sorry you've been through this hurtful ordeal, but thankful to be on the outside now and know that better days are ahead. Your ex? That dude has zero capacity for love. Zero. He used his baby to try to manipulate you. Score that on a parent report card. He's trash. Be thankful that love evaporates. He doesn't deserve it, and neither do you. I wish you the very best. You'll be fine. Update. Husband was killed in a car crash and left us in debt. Original post. Forgive me if this is a little disjointed. I'm still reeling from trying to wrap my head around my current situation. My husband passed away very suddenly recently, and in the week since his passing, I have discovered that he was keeping huge secrets from me. In going through our financial information, I have discovered multiple credit cards in his, mine, and the kids' names that are at a maximum balance. 2 sets of loan papers from different banks for over $20,000. Paperwork that says our mortgage is 4 months behind, and a ton of other things that I can barely make sense of. From what I can tell, his business hasn't been making any actual money in over a year, and our savings accounts are drained. There is evidence that he has been using some gambling website and has lost thousands and thousands of dollars. I've been a stay-at-home mom for our entire marriage, and he owned his own business, so he handled everything with the money. I have no idea how to deal with any of this or what to do. I know I need a lawyer, but our accounts are pretty much empty, and I'm at a total loss over what to do. Are there any free legal options I can look into? I have tried to call a bunch of lawyers that all of them have said they won't give out any advice or counsel over the phone. Am I liable for all this debt even though I didn't consent to my name, and certainly not my kids' names, being used to open credit cards? I feel like an idiot for being this uninformed, but I'm completely unprepared to deal with this, and I'm terrified we are going to lose our house and worse. I never in a million years dreamed he would do this to us. Can anyone point me in the right direction, please? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I have discovered multiple credit cards in his name, mine, and the kids' names that are at a maximum balance. Credit cards in kids' names or your name that you did not open is identity theft. You should report it. There's a lot of good information on the r/personal finance sidebar. I'm sorry this happened to you. Good luck. OP, this so much. It's identity fraud. File a police report, then send it to each of the card holders. Follow the advice on personal finance. In addition to what others have said, do not make any payments on any of your husband's debts until after you have made absolutely sure that you are responsible for them. Any type of payment or even acknowledgement of a debt can make you responsible for it even if you wouldn't have been otherwise. By absolutely sure, I mean that you've consulted a lawyer who has looked at your entire situation and concluded that you are responsible. This is not true. I worked in the estate department for half a decade in one of the big 4 banks. Just because you make a payment does not give us the right to change guarantors and be entitled to collect directly from you. It is good advice not to pay indeed, but making a voluntary payment does not obligate you to pay the rest. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. They will file a claim against the estate, then you will likely need an attorney to put together a list of assets and liabilities. Then you need to declare your right to a spousal allowance as it gets paid out before debtors get anything. Then the schedule of debts come into play, and depending on how much money falls into your husband's estate, will depend what gets paid. Much will likely be written off as long as your name wasn't attached. Making a payment on a debt that isn't yours doesn't automatically mean you assume it though. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard. First, I'm very sorry for your loss. And I'm further very sorry that you were left in this awful predicament by somebody you trusted. If you are looking for free legal options, there are several in Ohio. If you search Ohio Legal Aid on Google, several organizations come up. It's going to be a bunch more phone calls, but you should be able to get help that way. Depending on your income, they'll either offer you aid or else they'll be able to refer you to an attorney.
You will certainly need an attorney to navigate all of this. I hope also that you have emotional support through all of this. You are going through a lot. I wish you all the best. Now for the first update. I wanted to give you an update since so many people gave advice and said such kind things. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented and gave me advice. I'm sorry I didn't respond to the other post. I was just so completely overwhelmed. I still am really, but I did read every comment and message and I appreciate everyone that took time to comment. I was able to find some legal help, and we are working on sorting out the mess my family's in. Things were far worse than I even knew when I made my first post. Altogether, the debt that was accumulated is close to $500,000. At this point, I have no idea how much I'm going to end up responsible for. The lawyer has said it could take years to sort everything out. No matter what happens, we are going to be losing the house. I'm working on finding us somewhere to stay before they actually foreclose so we don't get evicted and have that on my record too. I want to try to answer some of the questions and advice people mentioned in the other post. I have 3 kids, so that is the we that I keep saying. The older 2 are from a previous relationship, but I have contacted Social Security to get benefits started for my youngest. Thank you to the user who mentioned that. My husband's business was a computer/tech repair company he ran by himself. He had a few people he would call in to help with larger jobs, but 95% of everything was him alone. Last year or so, it appears he wasn't doing any actual work and there was no money coming in. He took money from the business to cover what he took from our personal accounts, and then took out loans to cover the business, and spent it all away on gambling and other illegal activities that have come to light over the past few weeks. I'm sorry to be vague, but it's just embarrassing and hard to talk about. To the people who said that maybe the crash was intentional, it is looking increasingly likely that it was. Nobody else was involved. His car went off the road and hit a tree. He had life insurance before, but he stopped paying the policy months ago. I'm in contact with the police about the credit cards in our names and the other things that were discovered. All in all, things are looking really bleak at the moment, but I have faith that eventually it will work out. I have a few leads on jobs and have picked up a little temporary work here and there the last few weeks, so that we have something coming in. I have signed up for food stamps and Medicaid, so once that goes through, it will be a bit of help. I applied for AMHA as well, but they said waitlist can be a few years wait, so that is kind of long shot. Someone has suggested asking family/friends for help or loans, and they absolutely would help me if they could, but none of them are in a financial position to be able to help. My sister will hopefully be able to let us stay with her temporarily until I can sort things out and get us back together. She's my only living family and has been my rock through all this. So yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you all again for listening and helping. If anyone else has any more suggestions in trying to pick up the pieces that I haven't thought of, I would appreciate any advice. Second update. First of all, sorting things out didn't take nearly as long as we thought it would. Things ended up being a lot more straightforward than they first appeared. I will be filing for bankruptcy, probably early next year. I've talked intensively with a lawyer and weighed my options, and that seems like the best way to move forward at this point. 90 to 95% of the debt should be discharged with bankruptcy, so that is a good thing, although it's bittersweet. We are losing the house. We will be moving out by November 30th. I am worried about the bankruptcy/credit issues with trying to rent an apartment. However, I'm now on the list for PMHA housing, and from what I've heard, the wait isn't long at all. We ended up not being able to count on staying with my sister for longer than about a week, thanks to her jerky landlord, so I'm trying to find something else in the meantime. I have a few options to look into. Honestly, I'm not that sad about the fact that we have to move out of the house. The old place is filled with tainted memories now, and I think it will be good to get a fresh start. I've been assured by the police and my lawyer that because of the criminal nature of opening the accounts in the kids' names, we should be able to get their credit cleared. That one might be a long road, but we'll get through that too. My applications for Medicaid and food stamps came through, so that is some definite stress off my shoulders. I made the girls and myself an appointment at a family counselor, which we will be going to next week. The lady at PMHA Housing was very reassuring and very sweet about my situation, and she made it sound like I was pretty much a shoo-in as soon as a place opened up. Last but not least, I listened to the many Redditors that told me to make a post over r/Santa's Little Helpers to inquire about help with Christmas for the girls. So hopefully we will be able to find some holiday help, and that'll be another huge load of stress lifted off my shoulders. I want to thank everyone who messaged me and offered words of encouragement and support. I can't even begin to tell you how much it means to me to know that I'm not alone. I never imagined Reddit to be an empathetic and caring source of comfort, but it turns out that is exactly what it is. Thanks again, everyone. Now for the final update. Hello, everyone. I wanted to give one last update to my situation since so many of you reached out to me. This has been a whirlwind few weeks. A lot of change, a lot of stress, and a lot of hard work. As difficult as all this has been, and will still be to go through, I am feeling more positive than I have in months. The legal issues are being dealt with as best they can for the moment, and we are looking at filing bankruptcy early next year. It is scary to think about, but I do know it is our best option and things will work out in the end. We moved out of our house almost a week ago. It feels very bittersweet and the girls are having a difficult time, but I know they will adjust, and I really do think a fresh start will be the best thing for us. The girls are in individual grief counseling and we began family therapy. I will be making an appointment for myself as well, something so many of you encouraged me to do. Some of my good news now. We were able to find a permanent place to live, with a very sweet landlord who is sympathetic to my situation and has previous experience with the welfare system, and has bent over backwards to help me through all of the red tape. We will be moving, again, into the new place at the end of this month. Hopefully that will be the last time we have to move for a very long time. My second huge piece of good news to update with is that I got a job. I'm now working full-time in an office of a company that is owned by someone I met through my post here. She contacted me after my last update and offered me a trial run with her company. I started this past Monday, and so far, so good. I'm incredibly humbled and grateful to her for giving me a chance. That brings me to my third point and really the reason I'm making this update. I wasn't sure what to expect when I first reached out for advice here. I just felt so overwhelmed with the situation, and I think I was just mostly wanting to not feel alone and to connect with and talk to people who had some understanding of what I was dealing with. The advice, the stories of dealing with similar circumstances, the encouraging messages, the fact that you all literally saved Christmas for me and my kids, a new freaking job, and just the empathy and kindness you all have shown to me and my family is so far beyond anything I expected that I don't even know the words to express how grateful and humbled and loved it has made me feel. It is going to be a long, tough road, but I have total faith that things will be okay, and that it is in the large part due to the r/legal advice community. So in closing, I want to say thank you to every single person who reached out to me in any way, shape or form. Thank you for lifting us up and helping us through this. You guys have saved me in a million different ways that I will always be grateful. I hope you all have the merriest Christmas ever. I got so angry reading this. What an utter douchebag. I'll probably sound cynical, but this is the part that angers me the most. To the people who said that maybe the crash was intentional, it is looking increasingly likely that it was. And he had life insurance before, but he stopped paying the policy months ago. Selfish to the end. Yeah, my dad has some financial and health problems and ended himself. But he had life insurance policy in place that would have paid out, even if his death was ruled as self-inflicted. Most life insurance plans will pay out for self-harm if they've been kept for over 2 years. To let the payment lapse and still end yourself is incredibly messed up. Could have at least done it before you stopped being able to pay for life insurance. Sorry for your loss. My dad did the same but also had life insurance. My granddad, father's father, convinced my mother to not make a claim on a policy because it would be shameful. So instead, we lived in poverty while she worked multiple low-paying gigs to keep up with the mortgage payments and feed us kids. Wasn't until she got a new partner several years later that he talked some sense into her and convinced her to look into the policy. At that point, however, too much time had passed to make a claim. She's still living off of my home country's equivalent of Social Security, and I got to pretty much raise myself because she needed to work and there was never anyone home. I can't help but think that despite my dad's terrible choices, he at least thought we'd be set without him when in reality we are not. Now for the last story. He wants the perks of being my boyfriend but doesn't want to commit. Hi everyone. So I need to understand if I did something wrong by telling my ex-boyfriend that after I moved out and our business can run itself, I'll start traveling around the world without him. My ex-boyfriend, 23, and I, 23 female, broke up in September after being together for 6 years. I moved in with him towards the end of last year. He had made new friends and unfortunately their happiness became his priority, and I understood that. However, he attended a birthday gathering of a girl who doesn't like me and once told my boyfriend now acts that one day if he's drunk at a club, it's okay for him to cheat on me. She has also asked my ex why he hasn't cut me off completely since we broke up. Anyway, I confronted him about attending the party and he tried to play dumb and said he was only there to show the girl's boyfriend his support. Things got heated and we both realized that we were at different points in life and decided to end things. However, we are still sharing our apartment and because of this, he still has access to me. He still needed us to act like a couple so that he gets the boyfriend perks, but I'm left in a situation where I can't ask for anything or for him to change his ways because I'm not his girlfriend. Yesterday, we were talking about moving and I said I would be moving soon. He asked why I didn't say we are moving and I said because we agreed that we are not moving into the same place. He had suggested that we move into the same apartment building. And if I'm being honest, I want my space. This morning, he asked if we should move to Namibia after our business can run itself. And I said I'll probably go to Europe. He asked again why I'm not including him in my plans, and I explained the same thing to him. He then asked if I'm staying with him because I want to or because of the business situation. And I again clarified that he was the one who introduced this idea of me finding my own place. Now he's sad, and he's saying he was naive to think I would still want him in my life. He wants us to be best friends, but wants me to treat him like my boyfriend. He wants me to include him in my plans, tell him everything that happens in my life, sleep with him and be there for him 24/7. I honestly feel like he wants to keep me close so that he has control over what I do and the people I meet. I no longer want to give him access to me. What he did really hurts me. I'm struggling to move past it and I still need time to heal. But I feel like he's rushing me. I do want us to be friends but on my own terms. So I need to understand if I did something wrong. Edit. To everyone who thinks it's my fault because I sent a mixed message and to all those being mean. My ex gets grumpy if I share anything he doesn't agree with. He starts banging doors and acts like he's being forced to talk when I try talking to him. He becomes very uncomfortable to be around, and his energy is draining. He also tends to stop working and often uses me voicing out my concern as an excuse for being depressed and not being able to work. This leaves me having to take on all the workload. On the day we broke up, he tried to cut me out of our business, and I have invested my life into this thing. I'm just trying to hold on until I can get the proper papers done and then leave. I'm doing the best I can with the situation before me. To everyone sending encouraging words, thank you so much. I truly appreciate your kind words and advice. I'll definitely update everyone on the day I finally move out. Now for the advice. Remind him that friends don't just sleep together or plan to spend the rest of their lives living together. That's weird as heck. Once you move out, seems like this problem also basically disappears. So that's a good idea. The only thing you did wrong was not moving out immediately and cutting contact. It's possible to be friends once the emotions of the breakup wash over. Currently, it seems your ex hasn't really grasped what breaking up really means. Show him.
I'm pregnant with my husband's child, while my sister is also pregnant with my husband's children. Original post. I'm 29 female and my husband 32 male, Joel, have been married for 6 years. We were together for 3 before that. We don't have any children, but I'd say for the most part we have had a healthy relationship. Me and my sister Amy, 35 female, have never been that close. I have tried many times in the past few years to get closer and form a relationship with her, but she always seems distant. I first noticed the longing looks between them a few years ago. I never thought too much of it, since they were pretty good friends with similar interests. He told me he always considered her to be his own blood sister, and I thought that was good. Late November to early December, they were acting normal. No longing looks, no nothing, just normal in-laws at a family gathering. The next week, I noticed they were warming up to each other. Amy was sitting closer to Joel, following him around almost, and always laughing at his jokes, which she didn't usually do. I didn't think much of it, but then I saw the physical contact. How his hand would gently guide her back whenever they moved to a different talking spot. How when they sat down, his hand would go on her thigh. How her body would always be in his direction, facing towards him. The next week, they acted as if neither of them existed. When I tried to talk to her, she wouldn't be able to look me in the eye, would use any excuse to get away from me. Her and Joel would always be at the opposite ends of the room if they were forced to be in the same one. I didn't think it was too weird until I started to piece everything together. Joel's temper with me was shorter. We hadn't been intimate in a month. He started refusing to see our therapist as well, saying we didn't need to. I was lost. Christmas was when I hit my breaking point.
They were acting like everything was normal again, with a few guilty looks between them. I did all I could to ignore it. I have a history of overthinking, and I genuinely thought I was just being crazy. She left the gathering pretty early, claiming she didn't feel good, and Joel was obsessively checking his phone for the rest of the night, and he was obviously very worried. When we got home, he said he was going to shower. I saw that he left his phone on the couch, and I just couldn't restrain myself and I went through it. I didn't find anything until I opened Snapchat. I thought it was weird for someone our age to have that app, so my curiosity spiked. I saw her icon that mildly looked like her, and her name Amy Hart next to it. My stomach dropped, and I opened a chat. She had only sent one message. All it said was, "At the hospital, going to get results soon. I'll update you when I can. I miss you." I'm still confused and hurt. I don't know what this means. Am I a horrible wife for going behind his back? But I don't know why he was updating him, or why her name has a heart next to it. Thanks for letting me vent. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. She's probably pregnant, and it's probably his. Since you guys don't have kids, I would say divorce would be the easiest option. Something shady is going on. Or possibly miscarriage. This. Also, have a serious talk with him. After you screenshot everything you can from their conversations, or screen record it, and send it to yourself and delete that from his phone, and explain what you saw. Confront him and say you were willing to listen, but if you find out he lied, you will divorce him no questions asked. You can still divorce him after. You know there was something inappropriate and secretly going, but instead of saying anything or confronting them, you just watched. Why don't you just ask them or other members of your family? She either has cancer or pregnant. More than likely, she's pregnant with his child. I have tried to bring it up to him, but he always shuts it down quickly, saying I'm just overthinking again. That's him deflecting attention away from the situation. A normal concerned partner would have tried to comfort you and ease your concerns. You're going to need to shop around for lawyers. He can't be married to one sister and having a baby with another. You should have taken a picture of their chat too, and whatever messages they have between them. Now for the first update. Sorry for the wait. My husband got back from work a few hours ago. When he got back, I told him everything. The body language I've noticed, the message, my suspicions. I came clean. I wanted to thank everyone for supporting me and helping me open my eyes. I'm so grateful for the advice and support I've gotten. Yes, my sister is pregnant with my husband's child. It doesn't feel real. I don't think it's actually sunk in yet. They have been having an affair for longer than I even thought. Amy left early to go get tested. She had taken a test the week before and it was positive. But Joel wouldn't believe her until she got one done by a doctor. Joel and Amy first slept together 3 years ago. She was still with her then husband, but they were going through a tough spot in their relationship. She went to him for comfort, and they slept together. My husband slept with my damn sister. Apparently, it was only supposed to be a one-time thing, but it went on for a few months after that, until Joel felt too guilty and shut it down fully. Halfway through last year, the affair started up again. I guess being divorced made her miss having a husband, that my husband was the closest thing she could get to fill that hole. Me and Joel had been trying for a baby during then, but with no success. He told me he was getting depressed due to that, and Amy was a big support for him during that time. Because God forbid you find support in the person you married. They got close again and started sleeping together again. I didn't ask to hear more. I don't think I want to know more than I already know. I would have never thought my husband would cheat. I really thought he was the exception. He was always so sweet and loving, so romantic. I feel so betrayed right now. I don't know what my plan is. My husband has a brother he isn't too close to who's a lawyer. We've always gotten along well though, so I might go to him and ask for advice. Joel begged for my forgiveness, but I didn't feel much. I cried a lot, and now we're on a couch together watching TV as I write this. Amy doesn't know I know. I don't think I want her to know I know until I have a plan. Joel told me he will try and push for termination. It's up to her ultimately, I guess, but I don't think I could stand to see her have my husband's child. Thanks for letting me see I'm not crazy. I was so hoping it wasn't going to be this. I am so sorry, Opie. Give yourself some grace to grieve, but get a lawyer and get your ducks in a row. This man is playing you, and I'm willing to bet they both plan to keep the baby and are trying to find a way to make it okay with others around them, or she would have already had it terminated. No one does this for 3 years to someone they supposedly love. 3 years of consciously not caring about a person he's been with for nearly a decade. Each time he made a choice to sleep with her, and your POS sister who made the same choice. Makes it even worse that it was a second extended time at an especially vulnerable time for you. Doesn't matter that you weren't close to her, though I'm sure that's how they both justified it. It takes a super special type of vileness in both of these people to think this is okay. I am so angry on your behalf. You deserve better. Love yourself more. Best wishes for healing and peace as you go through this process. This really opened my eyes. Thank you. I can't believe this is actually happening right now. Girl, I know you're shocked right now, but I have to say this. You can't go to the brother. You need someone outside of this damn family. You're sitting next to him on a couch, like nothing has happened? I don't understand. Please get out. He's sleeping with your sister. 4 years. And she's pregnant. She's in love with him. She told him she misses him, so she's not giving up this child. Get out of the house, OP. I'll call my mom to ask if I can stay at my parents' place for a bit tomorrow, while I sort everything out. Thank you. Yes, time away with him or your sister. I hope she doesn't show up there. Will be good for you. You seem like a sweet girl, and this isn't fair. They're both garbage people to do this to you, or to anyone for that matter. Unfortunately, the biggest betrayers in life are the people closest to you. This isn't your fault. Now for the second update. About 2 months ago, I discovered my husband had been cheating on me with my sister. He told me they were pregnant with twins and begged for my forgiveness. He spoiled me with gifts, offered to buy me an apartment, a new car, whatever I wanted. He said if she goes through with the pregnancy, that he will have no part in it, that he would only be a father to the child I mother. Up until last month, I was ready to divorce him. I was ready to start a new life without him and my sister in it. I thought my missed periods were just due to stress until I felt my period symptoms. But with no period in sight, I took a pregnancy test. When I told him, he was ecstatic. He said it was a fresh start for us, that we can move on and focus on our child. He's already bought most of the stuff we need for the nursery. He's been looking at doulas and midwives in case I want a natural home birth, and different hospitals in and out of state, seeing which one would be best for me if I decide not to. I can't afford a child on my own as he's been there for me financially since I was 20. I've never had to struggle on my own. I never went to college because I would never need to work with him in my life. I didn't even consider the possibility of him not in my life because I was so stupidly in love and arrogant. I got everything I wanted. I had a perfect family and a perfect husband, a perfect house and a perfect life. We had fertility issues, and trying to conceive was a struggle. My pregnancy was supposed to be a blessing, but instead I'm wondering why now? Why after all this? I've yearned for this for years, and now it's happening, and I don't even know how I'm going to be able to put a roof over my baby's head if I leave him. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Edit. My pregnancy is high risk. I'll need lots of medical support during and after birth, and neither me nor my parents can afford that. Abortion is also illegal in my state. I'm aware there are ways, but to me it's not worth it. So if everyone could stop telling me to just get rid of it and leave, I would appreciate that. Joel's only promising me things on the terms I don't divorce him. So legally, I'm not sure if I can take the apartment and medical care as offered and divorce him. But I have a meeting with a lawyer tomorrow to get a better understanding of what I can and can't do. I'm 14 weeks along. I definitely would not be able to get a divorce before my birth, and I don't want to be in between places with a newborn whilst recovering from birth. Hope that helps everyone understand my position, and that my situation isn't as easy as just cut contact with them. Thanks. If he can betray you by sleeping with your sister, nothing is stopping him from finding an affair partner not within your family. As if he's actually cutting off things with a sister. My money is on. He's telling them both they'll be supported, and will probably continue to cheat with randos and make more babies, because that's what those types of dudes do. This isn't going to end well. Your children will be sibling cousins. I can only imagine what family get-togethers are going to be like. Husband will probably cheat on both of them with their mom. Edit 2. This is getting out of hand. So here's my plan so people stop calling me derogatory terms for not divorcing him immediately. I am planning to divorce him, but my pregnancy is very high risk, so I will need lots of extra medical support with this pregnancy, and that is something I just cannot afford by myself at the stage of my pregnancy. Joel is willing to pay all my bills, but only if I stay with him. I want to wait until I'm more stable before I initiate anything. I'll get a job once I've recovered from my birth, and after I've saved enough for an apartment in my own name, as I refuse to let him buy me an apartment, because I don't want him to have anything to hold over my head. then I want to divorce. I'll likely get good support for me and my baby. I've been looking into financial abuse. I think that is the situation I am in. I am not in love with my husband. I am not staying with him thinking we can recover from this. But I'm staying for now because I can't afford to not have his financial support. As for my sister, I haven't talked to her since everything went down, and I never plan to again. I'm not sure if her ex-husband knows the situation, and I'm not sure how to contact him to make sure he does know. He's a great person, and I hope he isn't going to get mixed up into this mess. I feel bad for the twins too. It wasn't my decision to make Joel no contact with them. I tried to urge him out of it, telling him it's cruel, but he kept saying that he would only father a child I bore. I really did try to make him see how cruel it was, but he started to scare me, so I stopped trying to convince him. It's completely out of my control. As much as I hate him and my sister, I know it's not their fault. I love my niece and nephew, and I'm sure I'd love the twins just as much. I'm sad I won't be able to see them, but that's just the way things go. If you think I'm a bad person for using Joel to my financial advantage, I really don't care. And I've already heard all the insults and names, so do not waste your energy calling me them. He shouldn't have had an affair with my sister for 3 years on and off. That's all for now. I'll update if anything comes up. Thank you for all the good advice I've received. Edit 3. A person on here brought a post to my attention that could very well be my husband. I am not sure if it is him. It could be a friend of ours, but it is not a troll, as they know my name, my husband's name, and my sister's name. I've been staying with my parents for the past 2 nights, so I have not been able to talk to him besides texting or calling. I'll try to confront him as soon as my dad gets back with a car. Edit 4. It's been deleted. My dad still isn't back and I need a nap. I will post an update tomorrow after I talk to him. Third update. Joel did post about his side to Reddit. I went over to our house this morning to talk, but he had to get to work. He got home 1 hour ago, and I've since talked to him. He said he thinks he's getting treated unfairly, so he made a post. Luckily, it got taken down by the mods for sharing personal information before many people saw it. I feel violated to have him talk about his affair so publicly. He didn't even bother to use fake names, and now whoever saw that post knows my true name. He let me read the original post he wrote. He had to shorten it by a lot for Reddit, apparently. But he explained to me the reason why he doesn't believe he's the father of Amy's children, and that's why he doesn't plan to be a father. It does make sense, and I feel kind of silly for not seeing that before, but I guess I was so wrapped up in everything. We've decided to start a plan for divorce. As I said, we won't be able to finalize one before I give birth, so we plan to wait a bit so we don't have to deal with the stress with a newborn. For now, he's offered to rent me an apartment for the time being, but says I'm always welcome, and our house will always belong to me, just as much as it does to him. Baby's doing well, no kicking or anything, but I'm excited to experience that for the first time soon. Joel has told Amy to get a paternity test, and that he won't agree to anything until he has proof he's the father. I won't be able to reply much the next few days. I want to sort everything out, but thank you to everyone for all the support and love. In his post, how did he justify having an affair with your sister? Because try as I might, I can't come up with a way he could spin the story that would make him look good. Couldn't you repost this version after you remove all the personal information? I really just want to see how his mind works because it's boggling mine. I wish you joy with your baby. Babies are the best. My little sister just sent me another video for a toddler trying to imitate his father on the drums, and it's beyond cute. To sum it up, he said he was very drunk and depressed last year, that he thought he would have sobered up and turned around on a drive there, but he never did. And 3 years ago, she kissed him. He tried to cut contact with her but didn't tell me. And then a week later, apparently she threatened to tell me that they had been having an affair. So he maintained his friendship with her and ended up sleeping together 3 times before she got back together with her husband and ended it. Claimed he was blackmailed. I don't know if I believe that. I read your husband's post yesterday before it got removed, although at the time I didn't know it was your husband that made a post. He wrote he found comfort in your sister and grew fond of her, that you were more loved by your parents. He drove to her house with one intention only when he knew she was alone, and her kids were with her dad that night. He refers to her by her nickname in the post. This man wasn't blackmailed or fooled by anyone. He could have put a stop to the text messages and phone calls right at the beginning if he wanted. Don't let him gaslight you into believing that he was blackmailed. If the house belongs as much to you as to him, then he can move into the apartment he's planning on renting. You deserve the house. Joel, if you are reading this, give her the house. Sign it over to her. It's the least you could do for cheating on her with her sister. Also, see a therapist. OP, you deserve good things. Hope well for you and baby. Update. Am I the a-hole for not watching my husband's kids so he can go on a trip? Original post. When my husband and I met, he made it clear to me that he wasn't looking for someone to be a parent to his children. His kids had 2 parents already, and he was just looking for someone that he could have a relationship with that could be a positive role model. We dated, got married. Everything was fine. I wasn't allowed to discipline his kids, and I also wasn't responsible for them. His ex had primary custody, and he just had them on the weekends, and typically he spent his time taking them out and stuff. However, his ex died in a car accident last year, so we now have sole custody. I'm fine stepping up and doing more for them. I cook for them, help with homework here and there, etc. He's upset because he never really wanted kids. They're twins, and being a full-time parent sucks. He wants me to do school drop-off so he can get more sleep. But that's not really what I signed up for. He's the one who told me he doesn't want another parent for his kids. Now his friend's bachelor party is next weekend. They're going out of town for the weekend, and he wants me to watch his kids for 3 days. I told him no. I don't want to spend my weekend wrangling 2 6-year-olds by myself, who will probably be upset with him gone. They've never been away from both parents before, and they've been extra clingy to him since their mom died. I know they'd probably spend a whole weekend crying, but he thinks I'm a major a-hole because he wants a break, and he can never make up missing that weekend. I think he's not being fair to me or his kids. I don't think going golfing and going to his strip club with friends should be more important than your young children. Now for the top comments before reading the update. This is going to be a rough 12+ years for his family. Poor kids, lost their mom and nobody wants them. It sounds like OP very much does want them, but the dad wants her to stay a glorified babysitter. Not the a-hole. Some of you guys are so damn annoying. I've seen some posts where you bash the heck out of step parents, saying they aren't the kid's parent when they try to be a parent. But now you're doing the opposite. Oh, you were told you aren't allowed to be their parent, and now you have to be. Like, I assume they've been together for a couple years, so this woman was with this dude not allowed to be the kid's parent, and is totally used to that. Then it was suddenly thrown into her that she has to be, and she doesn't want her husband running off for the weekend, with her be stuck with kids that until recently, she wasn't allowed to do even discipline. Give her a break. The dad can stay home and be a parent to his damn kids like he's supposed to be. And the primary custodian of these children died last year, when they were 5. I would be questioning whether this man takes his commitment seriously or not. I didn't want kids anyway. It's just an a-hole thing to say, especially when you're trying to pawn them off on her. Do you know what else he'll never get again? The opportunity to be a good father to a pair of grieving 6-year-olds. Not the a-hole. This is some weird setup. You are a servant, not a partner/spouse/equal. I would suggest taking a look at the control and power and the other aspects of your relationship. Who has access and knowledge of finances? And why? I would also suggest therapy. It could be this is just a weird one-off thing and it can be worked out, or a sign of an abusive relationship. We have separate finances. I make a lot more money, and I own our house as premarital asset. I don't think he's typically controlling. He's just insistent that I'm not his children's mother. He constantly reminds me of it. I suggested therapy, but he isn't willing. He thinks therapy is for wimpy teenagers, basically. At this point, I'm starting to give up. Edit/update. A lot of you have said that the way things are currently aren't working. And I agree. To this day, I'm still not allowed to discipline the twins. And the other day, he yelled at them for accidentally calling me mom. It seems like he just wants to keep being the weekend dad and wants me to be the nanny, not their mom. I sat down and had a talk with him this morning about what we want in the future. And he said that he wants me to step up and do more for the kids. I brought up the topic of them possibly calling me mom and me illegally adopting them. Because without me adopting them, if we ever divorce, I'll have no rights to seeing them. I I don't want to become a parent to kids that I have no rights to. He said that them calling me mom and me adopting them would be disrespectful to his ex's memory. We talked some more, but he absolutely refused. He just wants me to watch them more so he can have more free time. Still can't discipline them. So I told him in that case, I will no longer be doing any childcare for him, and I'll be rethinking our relationship. He's absolutely mad and thinks I'm overreacting. We'll see how it goes, I guess. Now for the full update. Many of you said that the arrangement we had before wasn't working and the children need us to step up and be good parents. And I agreed. My husband, however, wants me to do the childcare chores, school pickups and drop-offs, laundry, making dinner, etc., but won't let the kids call me mom. They've done it on accident and he's yelled at them. He won't let me adopt them and I can't discipline them. I can't even put them in time out for bad behavior. Basically, he wants me to do the chores to make his life easier, while he's their only real parent. I mentioned to him my concerns, that I don't think it's fair for them to deny them a mother when they obviously want one. I also don't want to build a stronger emotional bond with children that I have no legal rights to. I couldn't imagine that I become their full-time caretaker, and then we got divorced and I never get to see them again. That wouldn't be fair to me or them. The woes of being a step-parent, I guess. Despite all my concerns, he's not budging. I've told him that in that case, I want a divorce. I contacted a divorce attorney who's a personal friend yesterday, and I was advised to give him 30 days notice to move out before starting an eviction process. The house is mine from before we were married. My husband is mad because I'm the breadwinner, $200K versus $40K, and he can't afford to house his children in the same school district and give them the same quality of life. He wants me to give him my house for the sake of the children, yet I don't think he's ever cared that much about what's best for them. I'm terribly sorry for the kids, that their mom died and their dad sucks as a parent. But I can't resolve myself to be an unpaid babysitter for their sake. It's obvious I wasn't being viewed as an equal partner. I think I'm done dating parents. My cat is done dealing with kids too. This makes me so mad. He wants to play the for the children card but won't even let you and the children bond. Throwing in wanting you to be an unpaid nanny and housekeeper. This man is not fit to be a father. He doesn't get to have everything handed to him just because he's a single father. Not the a-hole. The part that got me was, she's not even allowed to discipline them. Can you imagine having to watch young twins for days without support, without being allowed to tell them no? No way I would sign up for that. They accidentally called her mom. They love her. She is not the a-hole. This was what broke my heart. Obviously, they are already emotionally attached to her in spite of husband's disapproval, and now they're about to lose another influential adult because their dad is awful at being a parent. Those poor kids. He had a woman who makes 5 times his income who wanted to be a mom to his children, even wanted to adopt them. My God, this man absolutely fumbled this. This is the greatest own goal I've seen in the sub. It's truly shocking, isn't it? When I read that income difference, I think my jaw literally dropped. Like, how freaking dumb do you have to be to look at this situation and say, nah, I'm gonna make my partner's life hell for wanting to be involved. This woman was willing to become a mother to his children, and she basically has all the money and takes care of everything. And he said no? I cannot fathom how stupid this man apparently is. But apparently he doesn't love Opie, and I'm glad she found out now. She deserves better. Guy probably could have quit his job and been a stay-at-home dad, probably end up saving more money than he earned, and helped Opie with house stuff. But nope, he never wanted to care for them in the first place. Lol, give me your house. I hope you told him he's welcome to buzz off. Basically, yes. I was going to help him move out and find a new place, but he's on his own now. Hopefully you don't get stuck paying that bum alimony. It really sucks for his kids. He's such an ass that he cheated them out of a good home. In my state, it's almost impossible to get alimony. You can only get alimony if you were married for many years, and you can prove that you can't meet your basic needs because of the conditions of your marriage. For example, a stay-at-home wife gets divorced at 80 and is too old to work. He has no chance of getting it. Lol. Next story. Am I the a-hole for flipping out on unemployed brother-in-law for eating so much? I, 30 female, have a family of 5, husband and 3 kids, and food cost in today's world for the month could easily $600 to $700. My sister-in-law, husband's sister, 43, her husband David, 46, and their daughter, 12, lost their house due to inflation cost and needed somewhere to go. The only reason I agreed to let them come here was because I morally could not see a child homeless. Sister-in-law works constantly, and David has been unemployed for nearly a year due to a back injury. He has a habit of quitting jobs due to injuries that doctors can't find. Now, the only stipulation we had was that these people were to buy all their own food and eat separately. Because, to be blunt, and yes, I'm going to sound like an ass, they're all obese and eat 3 times what my entire family does, and I cannot afford to feed them. To put it this way, they were getting $740 in EBT up until 6 months ago, and they were still exceeding that budget by 2 times. So, we don't charge them rent, but they do absolutely need to buy their own food, and we made that clear so many times prior to them moving in here 2 months ago. Well, 2 weeks ago I went grocery shopping for my family. I splurged a bit and got my kids 2 times 16-count sausage patties that they like. It's an expensive brand, so they don't get them often. Well, yesterday I noticed that most of the sausage and damn near all the eggs were gone. The big 60-count boxes. I knew I hadn't personally made my kids breakfast with either item more than once, so I asked my husband about it to see if he had, and he said no. I confronted sister-in-law and her husband, and they both swear they hadn't touched our food. But I got up earlier than usual this morning. I don't leave for work until 8, and I was up at 5 a.m. as couldn't sleep. I walked downstairs to the kitchen and found my brother-in-law, the only one awake, cooking up literally 8 eggs and 8 sausage patties. Our food that he swore he wasn't touching. He also has hash browns, biscuits, and sausage gravy, but that was theirs. I immediately flipped out. I knew I wasn't going crazy, but they all made out like I was. Sister-in-law heard a commotion and comes out to see me flipping out on David about eating all of our food, and she immediately came down my throat. In our family, we don't make people feel like crap for eating when they are hungry. I will freaking pay you back. So I held my hand out. Those sausages and eggs cost me almost $40 alone, and he ate all of it. Sister-in-law saying I'm an a-hole and that it's not a big deal. I argued it is. It is a huge deal actually, because I was lied to, and he ate so much that my kids now have none. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole whatsoever. You have been nothing but kind to these people. You let them in your house, let them use your facilities, gave them a place to sleep for seemingly rent-free. This isn't a brother-in-law eating too much issue. They messed up by 1, using your stuff that you said not to use, 2, lying about it, and 3, bad-mouthing you in your own house. Screw them. Let them find some other homeowner that will let them live rent-free and bad-mouth themselves. Kick these people out, because who knows what else they will do. I feel bad for the kid, but it is not your problem. Totally agree, not the a-hole. But OP needs to be careful. They've been in your house for 2 months, and depending on the laws in your state, if they stay much longer, they could claim tenants' rights. Tell them they have 1 week to find another place, and that their daughter can stay with you temporarily until they have stable housing. Make it clear that this is the consequence of stealing and lying. This happened to a friend of mine, and it took them many months to evict a couch surfing leech that had convinced them to allow him to stay. Apparently, it's not the first time this has happened. They also had to get locks for their fridge. Never underestimate what entitled and desperate people will do to keep a roof over their head. I'd suggest finding an affordable place to eat out and stop buying as many groceries as you can. You know it's just going to vanish the moment you take your eyes off of it anyways. First of all, congrats on how you handled it. I would have been absolutely raging. Also, why would she think the issue is just the food and not the lying? For me, the food would definitely be an issue too. He was taking 4 meals worth of food in that one sitting from her family. Last story. Am I the a-hole for attaching conditions to my partner becoming a stay-at-home wife? Currently, my partner Amy and I are living together in a home out in the countryside. We live well. I have quite a well-paying albeit stressful job, as does she, and a decent amount of savings. No children, but both of us do plan on having them eventually. We split expenditures 50-50 as it is, same with household chores. To make a long story short, my wife came to me to talk about quitting her job and becoming a stay-at-home wife. She's not super happy at her job and the stress it puts on her. We talked through various solutions, like moving position or company, but she seems pretty settled on wanting to do this. Now, we can afford to do this, should we decide. We'd have to cut our personal spending obviously. I'd pick up a few extra hours since I get good overtime, but it's definitely financially feasible. The thing is, it sounds like it'd be more stress and a good deal less money for me. And much of the things Amy would be doing with all her new free time just isn't making my life any easier. Mainly, she wants to work on fixing up the grounds, growing various flowers and stuff, which admittedly would be a pretty big endeavor. But I like the grounds as they are, perfectly content with it. So it seems pretty unfair for me to have to work harder for less money so she can focus time on something that only matters to her. It'd be up the property value, I'm sure, but I don't even plan on selling. Even with her taking on most of my chores, it'd be more work for me where she takes all the benefit. So, I'd ask to set some conditions where she'd take on some of the work I do just for my own benefit. For example, I keep some pet rats that she has no care for that need maintenance. I mix up batches of a variety of cocktails that always takes on a surprising amount of time to do. There's a few weird snacks I make that she hates. That sort of thing. She finds the idea of setting up specific requirements to be quite distasteful. But I know that if we do this and don't lay it out, it'll turn into her spending most of her time on the flowers or reading or painting, and I'll have to come home from work later, poorer, and still have all my personal tasks to do. Don't do anything without the enthusiastic agreement of your partner. So if you can't both agree on what her role would be at home, she shouldn't quit her job. This is the only answer. Don't agree to her quitting. It's very normal to have a daily list of chores that are expected to be done on a daily basis, 2 to 3 times a week, weekly, monthly. We have no kids and don't intend to. In the last decade, my partner has stopped working and I'm the only one bringing income. But he does all of the housework, all laundry, all the cooking, shopping, gardening, etc. We are both equally happy with his division. In your case, it sounds like your partner wants to retire early, which is ace for her, but what's in it for you? You are a partnership, so you need to find a compromise that fulfills both of you. Could you both work part-time? Or the partner works at least part-time? Early retirement for one at the cost of the other is just not fair. Very early retirement if they are still planning to have children eventually. This division sounds very one-sided, and if children are in the plans, both should be working at something to ensure that both the parents and the prospective children will have what they need, such as retirement funds, educational funds, miscellaneous things go wrong funds, etc. Further, her hobbies sound very relaxing. Nothing wrong with that, but lowered income and children is very stressful. This idea needs much more discussion and conversation about expectations and eventual goals.